I used to think I was broken, unfixable, disposable. The criminal justice system never let me forget I believed it. They never sent me to long term treatment. They said I was a program failure for a program I had never participated in. When they threw the word criminal at me, I swallowed it whole. I wore it like a name tag I couldn't peel off. They didn't see a human being, they saw an example, a warning, a mug shot to scare their kids straight. But what they didn't see was the soul underneath the scars. The one screaming for something bigger than punishment. The one trying to remember what hope even felt like. I was born into a world where addiction was treated like a crime, and crime was treated like the end of your story. But I didn't die when they locked me up over and over for nearly 2 decades for nonviolent drug related offenses. I woke up. In that concrete box, I learned what freedom really meant. Because you can cage a body, but you can't cage a soul that refuses to die quietly. I found myself in the echo of those steel doors slamming shut, in the silence between court dates and day-long transports to those court dates, in the nights when I stared at the ceiling, asking God why he left me, breathing when so many didn't make it. And one day, I stopped asking, why me? And started asking, what now? Because if the universe went through the trouble of keeping me alive, then it had to be for something more than shame. Maybe I wasn't being punished. Maybe I was being prepared. Prepared to show people what real redemption looks like. Prepared to prove that no system, no cell, no label can define what God built inside you. They called me a criminal, but the universe called me a catalyst, a disruptor, a teacher, a mirror. Because every person who's ever been written off by the world has a chance to show it what divine justice really looks like. You can call it karma, you can call it grace, but I call it truth. The universe doesn't waste pain, not 1 ounce of it. I lost most of my life to a failing system. I've been in cells so small I could touch both walls with my arms out. I've been treated like less than human by people who thought uniforms made them gods. I've eaten meals that barely qualified as food. I've been a number instead of a name. 103. And yet, I found God there, not religion. God, not in a church, not in a preacher, but in the quiet, in the filth, in the forgotten corners of humanity, where nobody expects light to live. That's where I realized something nobody told me. Sometimes the people the world throws away are the ones who came here to rebuild it. When I got out, I didn't recognize myself. The old me had died in that place. But something else was born. Someone fierce, someone awake, someone unstoppable. I built a life that the world said I could never have. I became a mother, a homeowner, a coach, a healer. I turned my scars into sermons, my shame into strategy, my prison into purpose. And now when I speak, I don't speak to impress anyone. I speak to reach the ones still stuck in cages, whether they're made of bars, needles, trauma, or guilt. Because prison isn't always a building. Sometimes it's the belief that you'll never be anything more than your past. But I'm living proof that the universe can take everything meant to destroy you and make it the reason you rise. They called me a criminal, and I wore that word until I realized it was never mine to carry. Because the universe never saw a criminal. It saw a creator. A system can label you. A judge can sentence you. But only you decide who you become when the door finally opens. And when mine opened for the last time, I walked out with my head high and my soul on fire. Not only to prove them all wrong, but to prove what's possible. So yeah, they called me a criminal, a 5-time convicted she-felon. But the truth is, I was a catalyst the whole damn time. A catalyst for change, a catalyst for healing, a catalyst for every single person who's ever been written off as hopeless. Because if I can rise from that, so can you. I believe support should be given freely to those who need it, not sold only to those who can afford it. That's why I've packed my website with free tools and a growing supportive community at JuneSamanthaBushika.com. It comes from a place of knowing what it's like to have no one care. I care. Please take what you need, and you can always feel free to like, share, comment, and subscribe to support my mission. You know it truly makes a difference. Until next time, keep breathing, keep believing, and keep becoming.